On today's podcast, we're going to be talking about designing your best year ever and asking yourself the one major question that is going to change your view on just about everything. Welcome to your Consulting Business Podcast. My name is Russell Pearson, and this is episode number 41. For the last 27 years, I've been working in the space of consultancy and advisory, especially in the sales and marketing area. And I run this podcast on a weekly basis to ensure consultants, specialists, people moving into the advisory space have everything they need to run a successful business or practice. And today I want to talk about your best year ever. Now, does that mean in your business or does that mean in your life? Well, I actually mean both. How do you combine those worlds so that you can actually have an enjoyable life in the business and outside of it? Because the reality is, business is personal, and especially if we are in the consulting space, which means that we're not working, the business of consulting, in other words, running our own consulting businesses, it can be a very lonely space, and it's our motivation, our energy, in fact, that has so much of a key for the end result in what we get done or how we go about engaging with the world around us. All we've got is energy. It's the energy that's spent in the past, which is the money, resources, the team that you've now collected, the energy you're going to spend in the future, which is the same limited 24 hours in a day as every single person on this planet. And so where you spend your energy is absolutely key for your success. And what makes success is very much from your perspective. So how you define success is going to be something very, very different to someone else. And I think that it's important to recognize that you shouldn't be looking for someone else's validation and for their key to success to go and judge yourself. I think that's a really poor road to be on, especially in this space of consultancy, because you have, as a consultant, entered into one of the best possible opportunities in the world. You get to design a business that you love, that gives you a lifestyle that you live, that is not, it can be anything that you want. You just need to define what that is, and that can be quite a big proposition. It can be quite overwhelming when you think, well, what do I want if I can have everything? If I can have anything I want in this world, what do I want? And so I've just spent the last 2 hours working that process for a whole bunch of people who are doing that in that exact thing, which is designing their best year ever. Now, if you're interested in getting either the recording or to engage in that, you can reach out to me. There are ways that you can engage in that program even after the fact. We do run it from time to time, and it's an amazing way to identify what do you actually want. Now, there's one question that I'm going to share with you today, which is absolutely the key to that. And so do stick around for that one question, because it's the question that I really asked myself when I got to a point in business where I was much further down the track than I probably should have been. You see, I started my business life in, I think I was 25 when I really started to realize that I could potentially have a business. Now, I was working for someone else. I was working in the space of advertising and brand design, brand strategy in particular, working with a lot of large pharmaceutical companies. I can't speak today. Bear with me, people. I've already got the Australian slang. I'm trying to pronunciate my words. I need to do more of that. So I was working in that space. I'm working for someone else. I really don't do well in an employment situation. And I was in that for 9 years. And so I would certainly can contribute to a team, and I can do that sort of work. But waiting for a manager to tell me what to do next and then not being allowed to step outside of those bounds was always a limitation to me. And so I was back in the early 2000s. So we're talking about the noughties, just for anybody who remembers that name. When I started to get into podcasts, and that was early. You know, that was very early for me to start listening to podcasts. And one of the podcasts that I listened to was from Brian Tracy. Brian Tracy's an influential keynote speaker and motivational speaker in the US. And funnily enough, I ended up catching up with him a few years ago, and we were drinking tequila together. That's a whole nother story. But Brian Tracy was somebody who had an impact on me through the process of podcasting. And listening to what he had to say really made a difference. Number one of the things he said was, you get to be the CEO of your own life, which means the CEO of your own career, of your own destiny. You get to decide how you engage with things and how you drive your life forward. And I'm like, wow, okay, so I can do what I want. I had to have someone tell me. So if no one has told you, you literally can have anything you want. There has never been a better time than right now to move from where you are to a better place, or move from where you are to a better position in life. And that one question I'm going to bring up is going to show you how, right? So you can have anything you want. And so I'm like, what do I want? Well, maybe, let's dream a little bit, Russell. Well, maybe one day I would love to be running an agency of my own. Maybe I could have my own business. Maybe I'd do a little of my own work, but maybe I could employ some employees. Maybe I could do that sort of thing. Anyway, within 2 years of even thinking about that, I had done it. I had actually, I'd started the business and we were employing people, and it had been running successfully. I think we were already a year in, and I was working with a whole bunch of clients to the point where I needed to employ people. And so I did it. I had done it, but I didn't take the time to recognize it. I didn't take the time to celebrate. I didn't take the time to look back and go, there was 2 years ago when I had a dream about maybe doing a thing, and now I'm actually doing it. Because when I was in the situation now running my business, I'm looking forward and going, what is the opportunity in my business? I'm now comparing myself against other businesses and other startups. And am I moving fast enough? Am I doing enough? Rather than what I should have been doing, which is looking back and realizing that I'd already come so far. I'd already achieved the thing that I wanted. Now, I didn't ask myself the question I'm going to put to you shortly. I just kept racing forward. And I raced forward for over 10 years. And I built this agency that had, I think, 10 to 12 employees at whatever time of day it was. And we were doing a lot of work, and there was a lot of pressure, and there was a lot of things going on until I got sick. I ended up in hospital in a situation that I did not expect. Now, I'm not going to go into this whole story of like, oh, that was a wake-up moment and all the rest of it. The reality was, what it forced me to do was have 2 weeks of bed rest in a hospital where there was nothing to do but think. Right? I had never given myself the space to think. And so in that moment, I asked myself this one question, which is a question that I give you today. What would I do if I had everything I wanted? And in thinking of that question, I was like, well, I would want this, and I would want that, and I would want this. And I'm like, no, Russell. What would you do if you had everything you wanted? So that you're not for want. You don't want anything else. You've got everything you want. What would you do? And what's surprising about that question is, for most people that I ask, the things that they would do are very simple things. They would mentor people. They would spend more time at the beach. They would sit and listen to waves. They would spend more time with friends. They would talk more. Some said they would laugh more. And what's incredible about those things and the opportunity that you have once you answer that question is that you may be closer to having your best year ever than you ever thought possible, when you realize that the thing that you would do is something you could probably do now. You could go to the beach. You could sit and listen to the waves for half an hour or an hour. But you need to make it a priority to bring it into existence. It needs to be an intention that you actually bring into your world. And if it's important, you're going to put it in the diary, and you're not going to let clients take that time. You're not going to use that time for something else, because it has now become a priority in your life. Now, I asked myself that question probably 7 years ago now, and I didn't get it right straight away. It took time. It took process, which is what I've developed now, to really identify what would make the best year ever. And the key was really understanding that it wasn't about wanting more. You've got everything you want. Imagine you've got everything you want. What would you do then? And in identifying that, often you can have the thing that you would do and actually be living the life that you want right now, without all these other things that you believe you might need? And so that's the opportunity for you. I'd love you to take the moment to answer that question. What would you do if you had everything you wanted? I'd love you to put it in the chat. I'd love you to send me an email with it, russell@russellpearson.com. I'd love you to reach out and let me know. Connect via social media. Connect with me on LinkedIn. Connect with me on Facebook. I'm easy to find. Yeah, look at this face. It's the same face everywhere. Right. And if you're listening to the podcast, go to russellpearson.com and you can always reach out. I would love to know what you would do. What would you do if you had everything you wanted? Because in that lies the answer to the consulting business you get to build. I've been called toxically positive. And in this day and age, that's no surprise. But I enjoy the mantle. I enjoy being called that because I really do believe you can have anything you want. You just need to decide what it is. You can do anything you want. You've just got to identify what you want to do. And so that's the opportunity for you. I'd love you to answer that question. Let me know how it goes. Because the other side of the answer to that question is focus. Imagine waking up each morning with a clear intention and clear focus for the day. Once you've answered that question and you actually make the elements of that answer a priority in your life, the rest becomes so much easier. If you're interested in getting access to your best year ever, which is the session that I ran, the 2-hour session, I do have recordings and materials and things like that you may want to engage with. Reach out to me and ask how you can get a hold of those. There's a small cost, but we're talking Australian dollars, which means it's like monopoly money at the moment. It's easy to come by. If you're running a consulting business, if you're moving to an advisory space, I would love to speak to you. I'd love to help you on your journey. I would love to give you some insights that I might have to help you take next steps. Whether you're a service provider who's been doing what they've been doing for a long period of time and now they're realizing that the advice and the experience and the knowledge they now have is valuable for their clients, that they should be being paid for that advice and consultancy is a way forward. Or for those consultants that already understand how to consult, but they're stepping out of a corporate space into their own business and now know how to consult, but now need to understand how to run a business. Either of those things, this podcast and these episodes are going to be really useful for you. Please subscribe so we can keep in contact and I can keep sharing this useful material with you. You can always go to russellpearsonprograms.com. I think right now, and it depends when you're actually on it because it does shift around, there's always a resource there. But right now I think we've got client retainers fast. So if you're looking for client retainers in your business, client retainers are great. They give you flexibility, the flexibility of design. How do you want to engage with a client, enabling you to do what you want to do with your life ahead. My name is Russell Pearson, SSL, the way Russell should be spelt. Until next time, stay passionate, and I will catch you on the next one. Bye for now.